Hello everyone. GM. Welcome to Web3 Magic Podcast. Here I talk with builders of some of the most interesting projects across Web3 space. Interesting by the use case, not by the price of a token. So let's warm up with music and let's jump into today's episode. Hello everyone. So we are back at Web3 Magic. Today I'm speaking with Winnie. And as I told her before we started recording, I was a little bit confused about what she actually does in crypto, but she will tell you. And I think it might be interesting for both sides, well, all sides. But my wife was intrigued way more than I was initially. And you will hear why very soon. Welcome, Winnie.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
So I'll start with the typical question. We always try to figure out how my guests got to crypto space and, what intrigued them in the first place. It's kind of trying to show the human side, if there is any. So what was your journey?
For sure. So I started getting interested in crypto in around 2017. I was a 20-year-old unpaid intern living in New York, and a lot of my friends were really into mining. And I just got really fascinated by it back then. Not enough to hook me in because I was actually a fashion intern. I was a fashion student as well at the time. So it just wasn't really, there was no alignment back then. But as I slowly fell out of love with the fashion industry from a sustainability standpoint and just from the entirety of the ethics of that industry, I kind of took a year out of uni. I worked in private finance for a bit in KYC, and that really made me realize, oh my God, this system is so fucked. So I went back, and that really pushed me. So that was then probably 2018 going into 2019. Got a bit more interested in Bitcoin, got a bit more interested in that whole side of things. Still not enough to really be like, oh, this is absolutely fascinating to me. So I went back to uni, I finished my undergrad, still in fashion. And I went to a talk by Maggie McDonnell from Vogue Business and Kerry Murphy from The Fabricant. And this, I've never looked at something and been like, oh my God, this is it. Digital fashion, on-chain, or just everything that they were talking about. I was like, oh my God, this is exactly everything that I've been trying to find. So yeah, in 2019, I wrote my undergrad thesis on the application of blockchain for sustainability and transparency in the fashion industry. And my professor pretty much called me an idiot. I think I got about 42% on that paper, nearly failed my undergrad. And so out of spite, I was like, cool, I'm going to do a master's in computer science, never coded, had no idea how to code. So I did a master's, it was computer science and business together. So it wasn't CS, but it was still enough for me to be like, oh my God, this is horrible. But, out of spite, we got to push through. And that was during COVID and everything as well. So naturally fell down the kind of crypto rabbit hole so much more. And then I moved to France because of Brexit. And then I was in a new country. I didn't really have any friends. I was inside all of the time. And I just found my home on crypto Twitter in October 2020 and just have kind of been doing stuff ever since.
Awesome. I like the journey. Kind of reminded me how old I am. But I would definitely love to read the paper on the fashion.
It deserved the grade it got. It's the worst thing I've ever written because she was I remember one of the comments being, you're obviously very enthusiastic about this, but there is nothing to support it. And I was like, yeah, it's a thesis. It's there is nothing, but I stuck by it and we're still here. So I think it was a good one.
Yeah. Apparently, I mean, yeah, Fabricant is one of my favorite, even though I'm not into fashion, as everybody can see when they see me. But that's definitely, it's an interesting angle. Yeah, so I'm not into fashion, but I'm into beauty. I like colors, beautiful things, you can look at, whether digitally or in real life. So Fabricant make it very easy because it's way easier to look at digital things, whether it's fashion or art, than, just walk around the real life and try to find a gallery or try to find a fashion show. So totally understand that. It popped up in my mind. So Where are you from originally?
I'm actually from an island in between France and England, but
Oh,
I've
okay.
lived in France for 3 years
I see. And now you're living
in Paris.
in Paris. Yeah,
Yeah,
still Paris. Nice.
Mm.
Paris is cool.
I
Um,
love Paris.
is it you like Paris, but you don't like French, or is it you like Paris and French?
uh, it's there's like a lot of my family are French, so but it's just a running joke. It's like, oh, we love France despite the French,
Yeah.
but I secretly love the French.
Okay.
They've
Cool.
done, they've
Very cool.
done, they've done some bad, we've all done some bad things, but they do a lot of good things. They do a lot of things right.
Yeah. 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 I apologize to my French friends. I just had to say that
Mhm.
yeah, it's a running
Yeah.
joke everywhere, I guess. Okay. So now you've started the crypto journey, and there is a number of projects you've been involved in,
Mhm.
but I assume there is the main one is with the NFC chips
Mhm.
and nails and other things. So I leave it up to you. Which one
Sure.
do you want to talk about all of them, or you want to just start with the main one and take us from there?
I mean, yeah, I can kind of do like a little backtrack because everything kind of relates to the journey of how I got to Gossip Protocol and Chipped where I am now.
Okay.
So in 2021, I was part of the founding team of Schiller.xyz, which was a growth agency that we just saw a massive issue back then of just so many rug projects coming out. So we kind of wanted to use our reputation as leverage to be like, hey, these are projects that we're working with and supporting, and we're helping with marketing campaigns and growth and strategy, and just actually trying to bring decent projects to forwards instead of
Hmm.
just getting all of these rugs that naturally did come out in the summer of 2021. And that was an incredible journey. I learned so much about what it meant to build in this space. And like Fungible, Bernardo are probably two of the most incredible human beings I've ever met, and they are sailing that ship in such an incredible way now. We worked with some insane projects back then. I think one of my favorite ones was it was a small one, but it was really impactful. I think for kind of understanding the vision of what I wanted to do in this industry was working with Niels Jewell, who's a film producer in Hollywood. So we were trying to help see how we can use NFTs, but not use them as a security to get funding for films. Because it takes 7 years to get a film funded in Hollywood, and all of like LA is a horrible place. It's it's where dreams go to die. Mostly because there's no work there anymore. Anything that's to do with film work gets shipped off to Georgia, the country, because it's so much cheaper than it is to get stuff filmed in the US. So it was all about just trying to bring back. I love film. I'm a huge film fan. So it was that just really resonated with me. I thought it was a really impactful and incredible thing to show how we can just use NFTs and crypto outside of like financial incentives. And that's just always been something that's really stuck with me, as being like, oh, follow the MO and the money will come. Like, I don't come into the space just thinking, oh, let's just chase a bag. There's real issues in this world besides shit coins. And I just think, and also I think that's why
Oh
our
yeah.
industry has such a bad reputation, because it is all just about scamming and shit coins and just the cabal or whatever, when we could actually, first of all, we could be having fun. Like, what happened to having fun? And two, we could actually like it's not all just about 1,000xing or it's what it's so silly, and it's really frustrating because I love this space. Sometimes a bit too much, but yeah. So Schiller really was fantastic. I really loved it there, and then after. Oh, and then while I was at Schiller, I also was a curator for this gallery in Prague called Crypto Portal with my friend Sam Gittis, who's an incredible DJ, incredible curator. And we just did like 6 months of curating this gallery in the old square in
Hmm.
Prague. Like, it was probably one of my favorite things I've ever done in my entire life, because it was such an incredible opportunity to give back to artists and showcase them. And it really proved the ethos of blockchain and borderless, and being able to put art somewhere without having to like making an artist go through customs or make them ship it somewhere. Or it was like, hey, send me the IPFS and we can put it on a screen and people are going to be able to see it, and they can scan a QR code, even though I hate QR codes, but it works for now. The QR code then goes to their OpenSea or their website, and it just proves the importance of what we're doing. And yeah, that was one fun thing. And then after that, I moved on to a project called FigureGot, which I was at for around 18 months. It was meant to launch in at the end of the bull market last year, but it was just it was such a beautiful project. Jess Wiseman is probably one of the most amazing 3D artists I've ever seen in my entire life. That girl is a wizard. I have no idea how one person can create Pixar level studio animations just in her bedroom. So it was such a joy to work on that. They were like these little robot 3D rendered figurines, and like the 3D figurines are coming out now. The merch is all coming out. It was truly a labor of love, but I think it just got to the point with that where it's Jess and Callum, who are a brother and sister, who are running it, and it was just kind of time for me to move on to my own thing as well. But we had a really great run with that. Even before we launched the NFT, we had a booth at ComplexCon with Coinbase. And this is when I really started to go into the idea of how do we start creating experiences that don't have blockchain at the forefront of it. Like, how do we create something fun and enjoyable? And then only afterwards you realize, oh shit, that's on chain. So we had this super cute booth that was like a kind of a workshop. Like it looked like a literal workshop. I'll send you pictures of it. And we also only had about 2 weeks to do this, to do a 20 freaking, however meter, 20 foot by 20 foot booth at Coinbase, 3 meter by 3 meter. And we're like, oh God, we all live in Europe. This is in LA. How are we going to do this? But we had this idea of just getting these, just making tote bags, which had an outline of a drawing of a figure got on it in like a really, like just as beautiful style. And we just had those on a table in the middle of our booth. And it became a respite for conference goers, because ComplexCon is a really intense conference. And people were just coming and they're like, oh, wait, we can just sit here and color in. And I was like, yeah, just come hang out. And they're like, oh my God, this is so fun. And then we'd sit with people, they'd start talking about it. They'd be like, oh my God, this is crypto. And it's like, yeah, it's how do we make things as unthreatening as possible and make it enjoyable and make people engage first and ask questions later? Because that's how we're going to get it. If we're trying to shove blockchain down people's throats, it's not going to work. We've got to, it's like a little cat, you've got to put the pill inside the ham, and that's how you get it. Yeah. So, and then I took a little bit of time off over the summer. I'm a big scuba diver, so I spent my summer just diving in Greece, having a little bit of fun. Because I hadn't had a break in about 2 years. So, but I was also just kind of looking for like what was going to be my next thing. And so I started Gossip Protocol over the summer as well, just kind of being like, oh, I want to have a podcast. I thought about wanting to do a podcast, and I also thought about wanting to just kind of, my whole thing is that we have so many things in this industry that are amazing and so many protocols, so many products, but no one's using them. And we want mass adoption without internal adoption. So I really wanted to try and find a way to start facilitating use of products and also to start aggregating them. So, how do we get people putting podcasts on chain and using decentralized social media and all that jazz? And, but I was like, this is just not it. Not like it wasn't it, but I was like, there's something else that I want to do. So Gossip Protocol is what I would kind of consider. So to put it like simply, Chipped comes under Gossip. It's a collaboration with Kiki World, but I'll get to that in a moment just to make sure there's no confusion. Gossip is pretty much what I want. I want it to be the Mischief of Web3. So if you're familiar with Mischief, they're the ones who do product drops and experience drops, like the big red boots. So I want to do collaborations and, launches with existing protocols and products in something that wouldn't traditionally align with their general marketing, and create something that creates campaigns that are worthy of viral mainstream internet. So one of the first thing that we did that was so fun was with with Unlonely. If you saw Love on Leverage, the dating show. So Unlonely were launching a new product on their site, like a betting feature, so that you could bet on live streams. So we took 2 unsuspecting people, well, I think it was 16 in total, but pairs of people in crypto, and put them on blind dates with each other to see if they would hit it off. And
okay, could be fun.
It was very fun. It was very chaotic. We had a very good time, and you could bet on the outcome of the date whether the girl would say yes to another date. And it was very fun. There's a lot of dancing, a lot of it was, and hey, it
I
was a
would
good
fail.
way. It was a good way to launch the product, their new feature. So that's I kind of fell in love with that. I think it's just maybe it's chasing the adrenaline, chasing the rush of launching things. But I think that was kind of where I really wanted to go with Gossip. And so that brings us to kind of like Kiki World. I have been a huge fan of Kiki World ever since their inception about a year ago. I was like, oh my gosh, decentralization and beauty. This is my whole jam. So, oops, just moving my table. Um, yeah. So when we had this little girls founder brunch in New York in, I think, September. And it was me and LDF. She's part of Gossip as well. We were like, oh gosh, is no one going to come to this brunch? We have a whole table of like 20 empty seats. Like, oh my God, no one's going to come. First person to show up was Yana, the founder of Kiki. And one of the first things she says was, how do I work with you guys? And we were like, this is the exact reason why we invited you. We want the exact same. So I had this really, really rough Figma board of the concept for Chipped. And I was like, I want to do this. I want to make this. And she's like, great, I have suppliers. You've got this. Let's get on it tomorrow. And so originally the inception for
Okay.
Chipped came about was about, I think just under a year ago, I do my own acrylic nails because, it's like recession core. Like nails are expensive, and I wasn't really working that much. Didn't want to like be spending 50 quid or 100 quid every 2 weeks on nails. Because I also go like climbing. I do a lot of sports. Taking them on and off again, it adds up unnecessarily. So I was like, why don't I just learn to do them myself? And also it's very fun. It's very fun to have like a little thing to do on, Friday Twitter spaces. So I just started putting an NFC chip in it. And then I was going to conferences and being like, hey, like, oh, this is my Telegram, tap this, tap this. And people got very excited about it. There's some other really incredible women in the space who do similar things. Like Sage Storm is another one. She's also an incredible nail artist, and she does it as well. So it wasn't like a novel idea, and there was inspiration from a lot of people, but it was, getting that in a way that was scalable for like me to sit down and be putting them in my friends' nails was just like not a scalable idea. So I was like, why don't we try and create a set of press-ons that I can and I also just got fed up of trying to line up my nails before a conference. So I was like, why don't we create a set that we can just kind of whack on before a conference and program it, and then we're good to go. And then I can just take them off after the conference. I still have them, and then I can redo them every conference, right? So, and then that takes us to, so New York. Yana, Gossip, Chipped. Within about 6 weeks, we had a prototype. And normally when you're trying to create something like this,
Wow.
it's a good couple of months to try and get a prototype. It was a mess because no one's ever actually done this before, because it's kind of hard to put a bit of hardware inside a heat compression and not kill anything, like not like ruin the chips and make sure that they all
Oh,
work.
right. Yeah. The heat
Yeah.
is the problem.
The heat and the pressure, because it was compression molded. So that was our first prototype. We're now up to about, I want to say like 50 prototypes and different. So currently right now, do I have another one besides the one on my nail? Normally they're not cut like this. I just cut it because these other press-ons are cut. But
Okay.
you can see there is a chip underneath there.
Yeah.
And I haven't programmed it because I literally just did these a split second before I came on here. But I can literally just program it. I'll do it later. But yeah, where are we at with the timeline? So then we got a couple of 100 prototypes made, and then we did an activation. Actually, backtrack a little bit. Sorry, I've got like the
No
little
problem.
spiders. So yeah, cool. It goes to a social media, it goes to Telegram, but I'm like, how do we take this on chain? How do we make this interesting? So I was like, why didn't I program it with a credential that is like proof that you met me IRL, like a proof of vibes, or yeah. So if you met me at, what conference was it? Was it ETH? No. What was between ETHCC and DevConnect? Can't remember. But if you tap my now, it would create an attestation to you that said we met. So then we started working with disco.xyz, the data backpack that
Okay.
that allows, and they created a new schema for this. That was when you create an attestation, it actually puts it in both our wallets that attest that we both met. And then you can also make a mutual one. So when you think about social graphs, like on Facebook, it's a two-way, it's a mutual kind of relationship. But then when you're on Twitter, it's a one-way following. So we're trying to see how we can take that and put that into kind of like a social, like an attestation kind of standpoint. So taking this concept, we took it to Istanbul at DevConnect, like end of November. So really recently. And we chipped over like 250 people, I think it was in the end, 250, and had over 1,000.
Damn, I haven't seen anyone chip. How is that possible?
Really? A lot of people took them off because first thing we learned about PMF is that they were long and annoying. Like the nails were really long. And a lot of the people that we did chip were guys. So it was like, yeah,
Right.
okay. We need to kind of work out what the physical product that we actually ship is going to be. So, and there was over like 1,200 people who actually did it. Yeah, those were the attestations made, which is incredible to just see the social graph and like the physical social graph of everything that was made. So, and that's when my brain goes blank. Yeah. So
No worries. So, it's like, I don't know why the POAPs popped out into my mind.
So
but I would say like better done POAPs.
Okay, so I have a fun issue, an IRL use case for I actually have a call with POAP this week to kind of just to actually go through this. I don't like POAPs right now because I don't like the live location and time doxing. Because I was and I'm a female in this space. I kind of like my privacy to, I have to maintain a certain level of my own privacy. But I was at a gallery. I was at like an event here in Paris, at a gallery event, and I scanned the POAP, and within about 5 minutes, my friend who I was with gets a text being like, "Oh, are you with Winnie at this gallery event? I just saw the POAP." And I checked it, and I was like, "I fucking hate that. That's horrid." Yeah,
that's worse than Facebook and Foursquare together.
So it's like, yeah, why don't I just put like a target on my head that says, "Hey, I'm here right now." So the one thing that I really like about Disco is that they are actually off-chain verifiable credentials, but they are secured by your private key. So it's technically just a JSON file that is stored off-chain, but the only way to access that is through your wallet. So I know everyone that I've met. Like who I've met doesn't need to be a public thing. Like I don't know why. I really like that we're going through this renaissance of like a privacy renaissance. It's like, cool, I want to own this data. I want to own this connection. It doesn't need to be owned by any other platform or seen by anyone else. And I think this and I really hope that we're really over this flexing era within like this whole crypto thing. And I think that's where POAPs did really well back in 2021, 22. Like, cool, I was at this event. I did this. There was POAPs for freaking everything. And that was cool. But like that, I then think that really dilutes the purpose of the importance of certain things. Like we don't, like POAPs are great for some things, but when it comes to personal connection, I think like off-chain attestations are better.
Oh yeah, totally agree. Yeah, it was just remind me of POAP because it was something you would typically get on an event. Yeah. I'm not a POAP collector. Probably have some because sometimes it was fun or the design looked pretty cool.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I'm pretty much not a collector of anything except something colorful.
Nice.
And only in digital form, because otherwise, just moving around a lot makes it very difficult and annoying. It's like, who wants to take care of other stuff? It's enough to take care of me and my family and just move them around with a dog. So, okay, so Istanbul was the kind of like the MVP test.
Yes.
Cool. And so what? Istanbul was, I think we were all in Istanbul, was November, right?
Yes, and in November.
So what happened since then? And what's the next step?
Of course.
What's the next pilot.
Okay, so since then we've been figuring out a new way to actually manufacture, because it's just not scalable at the moment with compression molding. It's
Mhm.
an incredibly it's just not scalable right now. So we have figured it out in the last few days, and we're using different chips now as well that are less susceptible to breaking. So
Mhm.
it's just been kind of refining it and making it as elegant and streamlined as possible. And then we are coming out with a full set of it's going to be a full set of, I think, about 24 nails in like an aluminium matchbox kind of tin, which is
Mhm.
it's a very cute design. And yeah, they're going to go to retail, I think, at the end of February.
Wow,
So
awesome.
right now it's just working on the marketing campaigns, working on how we can get like the normal nail artists and people who like web 2 tech girlies interested. So how it's going to work when they go to production is that when you tap it with your phone, it goes to a dynamic profile with Kiki. So with that kind of like a link tree. So you'll be
Mhm.
like, oh, do I want it to go to my Instagram, to my Twitter? There's options for attestations. It's how do we find like a web 2.0? Like, oh yeah, cool. I've got everything gets seen together. So it's
Mhm.
like, oh, follow me on Instagram, but also do you want to create an attestation that we met? Like, you don't have to, you can. And I think that's just going to be a really nice, non-threatening way to get people to be using it, and without realizing that there's blockchain involved. And another thing that we have at the moment until the end of January, we're doing voting. So our just the regular prototype that we did was just in a nude kind of color, but we're going to start creating different colors and different design sets, and that's all going to be done through governance and through community voting. And another thing that we learned from Istanbul was sizes are really important, lengths and all of that.
Yeah.
So get people voting on the different like what actual products they want to see made, because it's nails are like, even for the dudes wanted nails. But also when you think from like, trans women, drag queens, everyone, like just this traditional like female size medium thumb is not going to be fitting for everybody, and we want to kind of go with that kind of inclusivity route of like, this is for literally anyone. Like, you don't have to be a girl to wear acrylic nails, because it's fun. It's actually just a fun piece of tech. And so yeah, we just kind of want to start building products that the community want to see.
So I think it begs two questions. First one, so you probably almost answered that, was like, I can imagine, probably I wouldn't say that 10 years ago, but I can imagine nowadays um, that even nails can be like a viral product among guys interested in tech, just for the fun of it. But it's very impractical. So I do a lot of
Yes.
sports as well, and it's basically hair are impractical and nails are impractical in all of
Yes.
these endeavors. So why not some other, like a form or format? I mean, what is there a way to press the chip into, I don't know, into my Whoop or something else, into my cap?
I mean, like IYK is doing IYK, like the biggest ones of like NFC chips that I've been seeing creating products like that. This is just fun. Like,
Okay.
fun is a KPI. Like, and
Yeah.
also the girls want tech. Like, not everything has to be. I don't wear a baseball cap. Do I want to be walking around? I have one of the 9DCC ones. Do I wear it? No. Do I wear acrylic nails every day? Yes, I do. And in practical, I can just take them off like so quickly and then put them right back on.
No, so I'm not against nails. I think nails need to stay. That's
Yeah.
no question. I'm just asking, can I press the nails on
Yeah.
something else? It's
And
like,
this is, I think, like NFT tech is really, really cool. And it's something that we just haven't been using. And it's been around since 1983. So yeah, there are so many things you can put an NFC chip in. And that's like one thing that I also want to really start facilitating with Gossip is just, and working with brands like IYK is how do we get these activations? How do we get products that are exciting and fun and putting NFC chips in things, just because it is like, let's just get silly goofy on the timeline.
okay, I'm all for it. I I would probably rather see a lot of goofy nails on my timeline than a lot of
Rug pull
raving
PFPs.
about BTC ETF approval. It's like all Gary Gensler. So yeah, I'm all
Just
for goofy nails
yay.
in this one. At least it will be fun. Okay, cool. And so you mentioned voting. So Gossip Protocol is a DAO, or is it just a community and you guys decided to do voting? How does it work?
So the voting is through Kiki World. So Kiki, as a decentralized beauty brand, they that's been the foundation of the kind of products that they're creating. So they started with like, I think I have one somewhere. I definitely have one somewhere. I do. It's right here. So like this is like Kiki's original product. It's like
Okay.
it's like nail polish, but you got to vote on which colors were made. So they've done a couple of rounds of that, and now they're doing other beauty products, and it's all about just kind of creating just the most popular product that gets voted on. And I just think that's a really fun way to like. That's how I feel like the way that e-commerce is going is. We live in like such a hierarchical society when it comes to commerce. You know, it's like the person at the top decides, or like something decides, and then you just become a consumer. And I think now the whole idea of co-creation with brands is really exciting, and it just makes you feel like you're less of a slave to capitalism. Even though everything we do is a little bit of it's just capitalism, but like we make capitalism fun.
No, I'm all for like, let's make it to order. That's no problem. Okay, so that's what the voting is about. Okay, cool. Pretty cool.
But it's just Gossip Protocol is what it is. But it's a vessel for causing chaos on chain, is what I call it. But yeah, it's just to get, our community members voting on the things that they want, so that we're actually creating something of value, when utility.
Okay, so I probably forgot to touch early on the team. So who's working on Gossip with you?
So Gossip is pretty much just me. Then I'm also I'm now bringing on Brooke Lacey. She's an incredible cybersecurity developer, but also very in touch with the TikTok side of tech and everything. She's amazing. So she's coming on to assist with everything, but it is mostly just me. And then when it comes to Chipped, it is myself and the Kiki team and the Disco team.
I see. Okay. Awesome. So basically, if I remember correctly, everybody should get excited towards the end of February because there is something in a polished aluminum box coming out.
Yes.
Is it going to be like, publicly available or through Kiki?
It's going to be, it'll be publicly available to retail.
Awesome. Good. I see we are on around 30 minutes. So probably last question. Is there anything you would like to give like shout out to, which is coming up for you, Gossip, or the others?
Just go vote for your favorite color. Follow us.
All right.
If anyone wants, I've still got a few prototypes left. If anyone wants one sent, I am happy to send out some prototypes.
Oh, awesome. Yep. That's a generous offer.
Of course.
So we'll see. Well, look, I thank you very much. There was a lot of projects which are super interesting mentioned, actually. So I'll have a list of them and ask you for links if I can't find them. And I actually really liked the part when you said that you started with the NFTs for movies, because I think I was one of the early supporters of Caladita, which was one of the movies which was...
So I worked on Caladita as well.
Which
Schiller.
was... So that was a pretty cool idea, which actually happened. Because it was a little bit unexpected, I think, because during the bull, there was a lot of projects and they were then falling off left and right. And so when I received like, oh, Calarita is made, it's like, oh, really?
Yeah. So
that was
actually,
a good one.
We worked with Miguel at Schiller, so we were part of the team that helped facilitate that. So that was really
Awesome.
rewarding. Like that was something I really loved as well. Yeah, Miguel's incredible.
Miguel is great. All right, cool. Thank you very much, Winnie. Thanks a
Thank you
lot
so
for
much.
making the time. I'm looking forward to the aluminum boxes coming out. I will definitely check them out. And
Appreciate
maybe
it.
my wife will be happy and maybe I'll get one.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks.
Really appreciate it. Bye.
And that was it for today. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. If you want to connect with my guest, or if you are interested in some of the points that were discussed today, just check the show notes for links. And don't forget to subscribe for future episodes. Also, if you are compelled, please leave a review. It helps others to find the podcast, and you can surely share it with your friends to save them the trouble of discovery process. I definitely hope you would do that for me. One more thing, from January 2024, there is an option for the interested collectors to mint the episode or just the episode's art, which is always uniquely created by me for each guest and project. So go check the show notes to find out more. Until next time, keep it colorful and stay positive, friends. Ciao.